In this video, I'm going to discuss zinc and how it impacts immune health and chronic inflammation. And on the screen, you can see two of anabolic products that contain zinc that I'll discuss a little bit at the end. So when we think about zinc, it has become obviously popular during this COVID era. This paper was published in 2019. You can see the role of zinc in antiviral immunity. In this paper, which you can get if you just go online and put in the title of the article, you'll be able to get a copy of it. It contains this image here, and it illustrates the fashion in which zinc can impact viral infections. Now, out here you can see there is a direct impact visualized that's illustrated here, and other internal functions that you see here in terms of impacting physiology. So the most important thing to understand about zinc supplementation is that this one is not in play. And the reason why is because we cannot take in enough zinc to achieve antiviral activity. For that amount of zinc would far exceed physiological concentration. So how does it work? To improve, again, immune health and reducing chronic inflammation. This paper discusses it very, very nicely. It was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition back in 2007. Notice the title, Zinc Supplementation Decreases Incidence of Infections in Elderly, Effective Zinc on the Generation of. So here is how zinc works, by reducing pro-inflammatory cytokine release and reducing free radical activity. So note up top here again, elderly. So if you're 55 to 87, if you're 55, you're entering the elderly zone. Now I kind of thought that would be more like when you hit age 60, but whatever. So 50 healthy subjects in that age group, 55 to 87. They were treated with either 45 milligrams of zinc supplement per day for 12 months, or they received a placebo. So no one knew what they were getting. And the outcome measurement was incidence of infections during the supplementation period and the impact that such zinc supplementation had on on free radical activity and pro-inflammatory cytokine activity. So this was what they discovered. This is the conclusion. After supplementation, the incidence of infections was significantly lower, and I'll show you a chart in a couple seconds. Plasma zinc was higher, and the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, in this case tumor necrosis factor alpha, and free radical activity were significantly lower in the zinc group versus the placebo group. So here is the table from the article, and you can see there are 24 in the zinc group, 25 in the placebo group. Total, percentages you can see here. So percent of the zinc group that had an infection, 29%, compared to 88% of subjects in the placebo group had an infection. And you can see upper respiratory tract infections, common cold. Now, obviously, this was before the COVID era, so we would have no idea in this context. However, what we can see, though, is the dramatic reduction of overall infections in the zinc supplemented group. It's fantastic. Down below, look at this. 8% of the zinc group took antibiotics, whereas almost half of the placebo group took antibiotics. So how does zinc get after the free radicals and the cytokines? Well, this image is from a new book that I wrote, published in the middle of 2020, sort of at the middle of the initial first year or so, I guess you would say, of COVID. And then there's a lot of information on this slide, which I'm not going to discuss. So here I'm going to focus on zinc. And here you can see, here is the article on zinc again. And here is how zinc worked. It reduces pro-inflammatory cytokine TNF, tumor necrosis factor alpha, and free radicals. So here are anabolic products that contain zinc. So how does it work? Well, here is a free radical. It is called superoxide free radical. Now, zinc is required for the enzyme that takes out superoxide free radicals, and that enzyme is called superoxide dismutase. And so that is how zinc reduces free radicals. So when you're looking at the reduction of infections in the zinc supplemented group here, what occurred was that whenever anyone was exposed to any stressor, if we have a robust inflammatory reaction, well, then you end up with cold flu symptoms or more severe injury symptoms. So what the zinc supplementation did was it improved the immune reaction, the inflammatory reaction to various stressors. So that's the best way to look at how zinc impacts the expressions of viral infections. It reduces the inflammatory reaction, and it is the inflammatory reaction that gives us our symptoms. So zinc will stimulate superoxide dismutase to reduce free radicals, and zinc will also inhibit this important pro-inflammatory signaling molecule that is activated by free radicals to produce cytokines. And here is your tumor necrosis factor alpha. There it is right over here. And the nuclear factor inhibition by zinc will also help to reduce prostaglandin production. So that is how zinc works. So the amount that they used in this study was 45 milligrams per day for a year. So that's certainly a safe dose for a year. Obviously, no side effects at all other than reduced incidence of overall infections. So how can you get that if you're to take anabolic products? Well, there's 15 milligrams of zinc in the daily dose of Avid Multi, and there's 30 milligrams per capsule of xenotate. That would get you to 45 milligrams. Or you could do get the 15 milligrams from the Avid Multi, and then you would get 3 milligrams per zinc lozenge. So you could titrate up as far as you wanted to go, as well as get vitamin C. So this is a very, very simple approach to take, and you can see the mechanisms are also very, very simple. So whenever I discuss supplements, people always ask, which company should I use? And you can see, obviously, by my background and what I'm looking at here, and the fact that this is Anabolics YouTube channel, well, anabolic. So why anabolic? Well, I did a video recently, and I'll link to it below, that discusses the mechanism, or the manufacturing process that anabolic products go through. Very, very detailed. And you can download this PDF from Anabolic's website, and then down below in the description, I will give you the link to Anabolic's website, as well as the YouTube video that discusses the manufacturing process, as well as Anabolic's website. You can call customer service.